I'm Patricia Wattinema with the International Network for Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights, and today we are here to address a very fundamental issue of accountability, especially for loss and damage and reparations as human rights obligations. The concept of climate reparations itself is very much rooted in justice, and it calls for the fulfillment of the historical and ongoing responsibilities of the global north and their corporations whose profits grow at the expense of communities in the global south, indigenous populations, small island nations, and other communities vulnerable to the impact of climate chaos and suffering the most from it. Again, it's never about charity, like what many wealthy countries are framing it to be. It is a long overdue of moral and legal obligations. Those who have long benefited from carbon-intensive, exploitative model of development really owe billions of peoples and communities who are now confronting the multidimensional crisis and existential threat due to this extractivist model. Today we are calling on wealthy countries, the global polluters, to fulfill their obligations and pay for the climate debt. You may have heard it, but let me repeat to you again that climate justice demands that we take urgent and meaningful actions to bring about transformative change and put an end to climate colonialism. This is the only way we can build our common futures grounded in human rights, justice, and accountability. This morning we have an amazing lineup of speakers, and Elisa Morgera, the UN Special Rapporteur on Human Rights in the context of climate change, will kick us off by sharing her analysis on the disproportionate impact of the climate crisis, state obligations to prevent human rights violations, and ensuring the right to remedy, access to information across climate actions. And then Elisa will be followed by Chiara Liguori of OXFAM, who will speak after and touch upon the issue of unprecedented inequality amid the worsening climate crisis, and elaborating more on one important question of, do we have the money needed to tackle this crisis? Lien Vandamme of Center for International Environmental Law will take on the conversation to highlight the reality of human rights crisis in loss and damage negotiations. But more than that, how this has been addressed, and what are different approaches and mechanisms that we can utilize to strengthen our push in pursuing justice. While Eduardo Giesen of the Global Campaign to Demand Climate Justice will put forward analysis and political demands from the perspective of the Latin American region, Adrian Martinez of Ruta del Clima will conclude the panel with his intervention before we go and entertain questions from the floor. So